So good morning, everyone. I am thrilled to be one of the first to welcome you to our virtual Barat Center open house. My name is Katie Cullinane. I am the Director of Admission and Financial Aid here at Sacred Heart Greenwich. But in this Barat Center world, I'm probably better known as mom to Alice, our current Barat Center student. So although we would love to welcome you into our Barat Center to experience life with our youngest learners, it's the safety and education of our students that are at the forefront of our decision not to open our doors to you today, and we truly hope you'll understand. However, we've created a program to give you a glimpse into life in the Barat Center and are confident that you're going to walk away understanding the importance of how we celebrate our youngest learners here at Sacred Heart Greenwich. So just to go over how the program's going to work, if people have any questions, I encourage you to put them in the chat and we'll get to those questions at the end of our program. We want to make sure you get all the information you need about Sacred Heart Greenwich and the Barat Center, and there'll be many opportunities to learn about our program and community as you go through this process. I now would like to introduce Mrs. Frazier, our head of school. Sacred Heart welcomed Mrs. Frazier this past July, and our community has already felt a positive impact from her student-centered vision and collaborative leadership. She is a person with relentless intellectual curiosity and describes herself as a lifelong learner, knowing that by modeling the love of learning and the rewarding process of it, she is modeling significant values for creating a life well lived. Mrs. Frazier has truly had a taste of the Sacred Heart mission and all aspects of the independent school life over the course of her career. Most recently as head of school at Marymount International in London, but her tenure includes time at Georgetown Preparatory School, as well as our sister school, Stone Ridge of the Sacred Heart in Bethesda, Maryland. And throughout her many roles as an administrator, a teacher, a coach, a mentor, and an advisor, she has always strived to know the whole child, where they are, and inspire them to believe in themselves. I often get to run into Mrs. Frazier first thing in the morning as she welcomes my daughter and all the Barat Center students at drop-off. It is clear that her priority is to know and love all of her students, and she believes that as an educator, each day offers us a chance to make a difference in the life of young children. Mrs. Frazier?
Thank you so much, Katie, and thank you all for joining us this morning. Again, our wish would be that we would pick up our coffee together and be sitting in our beautiful campus, particularly right now as we end October, dappled with amazing oranges and reds around our tree-lined boundaries. But I want to begin today, as we do often here, with just a moment to think about where we are and just a bit of a quiet reflection. So we often begin meetings and the day with the students with a prayer. So we say, loving and gracious God, may I become at all times, both now and forever, a protector for those without protection, a guide for those who have lost their way, a ship for those with oceans to cross, a bridge for those with rivers to cross, a sanctuary for those in danger, a lamp for those without light, a place of refuge for those who lack shelter, and a servant to all in need. Amen. So we do wish that we could have you see and celebrate with us what our youngest learners are doing. As Katie said, my joy is that I get to begin the day as the neighbor to the Barat Center. My husband and I live in the cottage at the edge of campus. And so my day begins with incredible energy, optimism, and activity because the Barat Center is full of all three. If you're not as familiar with the Sacred Heart philosophy, all you have to do is really understand a little bit about our foundress to know how your child's unique gifts were celebrated all the way back in 1800. Madeline Sophie Barat, who was extraordinary, a seeker of empowering girls and young people in their own education, sought to blend the intellectual with an interior faith life. And she did so at a time in post-Revolutionary War France, where neither of those things were particularly popular. to be either a young woman seeking an equal education or to be a Catholic seeking to have an active faith life. And her foresight and her fortitude stay with us today. And I just want to share with you a brief quotation from her that really does sum up the whole idea of the Barat Center. She said back in the early 1800s, "Let us respect childhood. Let us honor the soul of these small creatures of God who can already make choices of the best if we take the time to awaken their reason and make them use their judgment." So as you're going to hear more today about the specifics of our program, what we do to create curious and creative problem solvers, what we're doing to harnessing our outdoor campus and to have our students, especially in these COVID times, really be explorers of their natural environment, you're going to hear some themes that shine through consistently. And that is the idea of the potential of each child, the unique gifts of each child, the way that unique student experience becomes one of a deeper and broader community. It's one where we really seek to look at whether your child is here for 1 year, 3 years, or for the full 13-year journey, that once a child of the Sacred Heart, always a child of the Sacred Heart. There is a deep identity and network that we share with our sister and brother schools across the United States and frankly across the world that raises us to a mission that is bigger than ourselves here on King Street. And I think that is what is so unique about the Barat opportunity, is that you're allowing your child to have, again, for however long, the foundation of a Sacred Heart education, one that's rooted in faith and intellect, in social justice, community building, and most of all, in personal growth. So I hope today that as you hear more about the program, you really have a sense of what Katie said, that your child will be known and he or she will be loved here, and that all of our work is rooted in the love and the optimism that your child has so much to offer us and so much to offer the world. So we look forward to partnering through you. We hope that you will reach out with questions. Again, we're all adapting and adjusting. I have to say the kids have been tremendous. We are lucky to be here. Our mantra has been every girl and boy, every day. And I knock on wood and keep my prayer life active that each week that ticks by, we are truly blessed to be here, living, loving, and learning together. So thank you for joining us today. And I look forward to getting to know your family and most especially your son or your daughter during this process. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Frazier. And now I'm going to hand it over to Dr. McGibbon, our head of lower school. Dr. McGibbon?
Hi, thank you, Katie. And good morning again. Thank you for joining us. I thought I would start with something you've probably all noticed at home with your own toddlers. First, they will stop and look at what might seem like a pretty unremarkable rock to you in the middle of the sidewalk or a blade of grass in your yard and crouch down and refuse to move until they're ready. So you just have to cooperate with them. And two, they want to do things themselves, right? Let me do it is something I imagine you hear a lot of. I know that I do. And both of these qualities are qualities that we actually prize in the Barat Center and in Sacred Heart in general. These qualities, wonder, right? A keen desire and ability to observe, curiosity, and the second one, independence, are necessary for the development of lifelong learners. It's kind of odd, really, when you think about how focused our culture is on sort of with college and college admissions, how we often overlook how important the education of the young child is. And yet we all know from our own lives how crucial a role childhood plays in the flourishing of the young adult. And certainly all the recent studies by neuroscientists have proven what many educators from the past and what many parents like you and me have known for a long time, that the child's brain is never more receptive, never more absorbent than it is in these early years. During early childhood, the brain undergoes rapid development, right? It's a period when the child builds cognitive skills, the foundations for reading, math, science, academics, as well as gross and fine motor skills and executive functioning, which includes everything from self-regulation to problem solving. Character skills, social emotional learning, all of this happens in these early years of the child's development. And the brain is a highly interrelated organ, and the emotional well-being and social competence are key to providing a strong foundation for burgeoning cognitive abilities. And so given the plasticity and the interrelated nature of the child's brain, it would seem that there really is no other period of a person's intellectual development upon which we should spend more attention or more of our resources. In a sense, the young child is like a seed, right, with incredible power and potential and in need of fertile soil. And while the Barat Center and Sacred Heart have fertile soil and in abundance, the Barat Center, unlike most preschools, is able to take full advantage not only of the beautiful campus and facilities that the middle and upper schools enjoy, but also the same expert faculty. In our full day program for Barat Center children, in our full day program, the Barat Center children receive instruction multiple times every week with the same specialists that enrich the lower school curriculum and that collaborate with the middle and upper schools. So specialists in world languages, math, art, music, theology, nature studies, technology, library, physical education, all of these specialists come to teach our preschoolers. The children are taught in a co-ed, mixed age group classroom, exposing them to all levels of learning and development. They learn to play and work with children both older and younger than they, which helps them develop their social competence and emotional well-being. There's nothing like being the oldest child in the group, right, to learn leadership, and nothing like the youngest to sort of develop aspirational goals, right? And while they're in a mixed age group, each child's lessons are fully differentiated. Every child is taught within his or her developmental band, a band which has been determined through observation by the teachers. And then the children are invited to work and discover on their own. And of course, as a Sacred Heart school, the child's faith life is rich, and the children are encouraged to virtue as they pray daily, receive religious instruction, and are invited to participate in school liturgies and celebrations. For example, just this last week, every grade at Sacred Heart participated in a week-long series of celebrations in honor of Mater Admirabilis, who's the patron of all Sacred Heart schools. And while not all the Barat Center children are Catholic, they all joyfully and prayerfully planted sage and flowering plants at the base of the Marian statue outside the mansion building. Meg joined me actually for that. We had a great time together. And very happily, while doing so, they encountered worms and roly-polies, right? Well, because, the soil is pretty rich here. So, send your child to come dig for worms with us, right? Sacred Heart is a loving and joyful place to be. It's really a kind of a family. It's a place where your child can put down roots that will sustain him his whole life and grow in love of God and neighbor and of learning. And now, since we unfortunately can't invite you onto campus to see it for yourself, we have a brief video to give you a sense of the dynamic learning that goes on every day at the Barat Center. So I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to the Barat Center. Welcome to the Barat Center. Each morning the children come inside and have circle time. Come and join us. AJ, please. One, two, 21. Oh, Emery, can you help us find what number is 21? What's the second number you hear? Yeah, a 1, right? Yeah. Good. So 21, she's going to put it all the way up. Good job, Emery. Ride the elevator all the way up, 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 up. Till you get...
AJ, what color is this? Pink. Heart-shaped monster circle. Good job.
What kind of an animal is this? What do you think this card is going to ask us to do? What do we know that ants do? Can we march like an ant? Can we march like an ant? Big, big, tall, tall legs. March like an ant. Wiggle like a caterpillar. Stephen, how are you going to wiggle like a caterpillar? Oh, good. Okay, give yourself some room and wiggle like a caterpillar. The Barat Center is really lucky because we are a multi-age program. Children in the Barat Center classroom are thought of as individuals, and each child is met where they are developmentally. With 16 students in our class, there is a need to separate into different bands during academic time. What you will see right now is a typical language arts lesson where there's one topic being taught, but it's being taught in 3 different ways. There is a progression through letter recognition, to letter formation, to uppercase and lowercase letter recognition.
Today, you all notice I brought out our apple tree. What is on our apple tree? Names. Not names, these are letters. What's the first letter in your name, Nico? And can you find the end on our tree? Awesome. You find a P on our tree? Do we have a P on our apple tree? You found it. Tell everybody the letter. And that's right. Can you hang it back on our tree? Thank you, Nico. Presley, can you show everybody the first letter in your name? Can you tell everybody really loud what it is? P. Can you hang it back on our tree, please? Can you tell them what it is? S. S. Stella begins with S. Stella, can you come hang your S?
Max is A, B, C. I Rosemary well. Up Max's hands they climb. Bite, bite, bite when the ants on the birthday cake. Bite and birthday cake begin with the letter D. This letter, what letter is this? O. Oh, Eden, are these straight lines or curvy lines? Curvy lines. So this is going to go over here with the curvy letter. You know what letter this is? H. It is an H. What kind of lines do you think this letter has? It has straight lines. How many straight lines? Can you count them? 1, 2, 3 straight lines.
And I want you to match your uppercase and your lowercase letters, okay? Okay, so can you find a lowercase I? Good, and then I want you to take your clothespin. Yep. Where do you think it's gonna go? Where the eye is. Good. Little areas. Good. And what letter, Emma?
One.
Good.
Thank you, Dr. McGibbon, for sharing that peek into Barat Center. It really is such a special place on campus, and I feel like their joy and love of learning is so tangible over there. From an admission perspective, we feel it's really important for you families who are looking for an early childhood center for your son or daughter to meet our teachers, meet parents, meet different members of our community. So earlier this week, I had the opportunity of getting a group together who were so excited to share their Sacred Heart experiences with prospective families. And I'm excited to share that with you today. So we have a great group here who are going to tell you about their knowledge and insight and share their Sacred Heart Barat Center experiences with you.
guys,
Well,
you don't
thank
mind-
you everybody for coming. And now I have a great group of people, all who are very familiar with life in the Barat Center, and they're here to share their experiences and knowledge with you. So I'm just going to have everybody introduce themselves, and I'll start with the two of our 4 Barat Center teachers who have joined us today, Ms. Scheck and Ms. Mansfield.
Hi, my name is Maddie Scheck. I am one of the teachers in the Barat Center. This is my 6th year in the Barat Center and happy to be here.
Hi there, I'm Cynthia Mansfield. I'm one of the Barat Center teachers as well, and this is my first year at Barat Center. After being gone for 5 years, I'm back.
Great. We also have one of our kindergarten teachers, Miss Taco.
Hello, I'm Janine Taco, and I'm the kindergarten teacher here right now at Sacred Heart, and I have been here for since 2009, and I've been in kindergarten for about the last 6 years.
Great, thanks, Janine. And then we have 2 parents who are here to share their experiences and their daughter's experiences with you, Haley Sonaland and Dina Smyers.
Hi, I'm Haley. My daughter Millie is in her 2nd year at the Barat Center.
Hi, I'm Dina Smyers. I'll take this down just so you can see me for a second. I have students. Lola Smyers is my daughter, and she is currently in Miss Taco's kindergarten. She was at Barat for 2 years.
Awesome. So we have a great group of people here. And I think what we'll do to start is Ms. Scheck and Ms. Mansfield, if you want to share with everybody just sort of what a day looks like in the Barat Center for our students, you know, from when they come in and what that looks like to when they leave. That would be great.
Sure. So our arrival time is at 7:45, and usually we start our day on the playground if the weather permits. If not, we come inside and we do some tabletop activities and have a little center time. After that, we have a circle time, which is the group time where we cover things like the calendar and the weather. We talk about numbers, one-to-one correspondence, counting, patterning, and use a lot of expressive languages. Maybe we learn poems or read stories as well. Then after that, we have a little snack. The children bring in their own snack each day. That's followed by language arts and math, which are taught in 3 developmental bands. That's when we break into groups. We're usually all working on the same topic, but being taught in 3 different ways, depending on skill level and their abilities at this point. We have recess after that. And then we have lunch, and the children bring in their own lunch as well, which is followed by a rest time, which they don't have to sleep. It's usually about 40 minutes long, but they lay on their mats quietly. We put on soft music, and maybe they look at a book, but just time to rest their bodies. And then after that, we have most of our specials. So some of the specials we have are computer, library, theology, world languages, and PE. Then after that, we have another snack in the afternoon, and that's usually followed by dismissal, which is at 3 o'clock.
Great.
Full day.
Thank you. And I know there's different options that parents can sign up for. If they would prefer a half day, that's an option, or a full day. We have 5 full day, 5 half day, 3 full day, and 3 half day. We want to make the program what's right for your child. And Mrs. Mansfield, you touched a little bit on the developmental bands, and we actually got to see a little clip of what that looks like in the Barat Center. But if you guys could just elaborate on that a little bit, what a multi-age classroom means for our students.
Yeah. So we here at the Barat Center are super, super lucky because we do have a multi-age classroom, which means that we have children that range anywhere from 3 to 5 years old. So this is really, really great for children because it actually allows them to become super comfortable with their environment and super familiar with it. Some of the students that we have been here for 2 years. Some of them will even be here for 3 years. So they are super confident, you know, when they come in, you know, maybe they start as one of the younger children who has a little bit of difficulty with things like zippering a jacket or remembering their water bottle or things like that. And then by the time, you know, either the end of this year comes or the beginning of next year, they're the leaders in the classroom, and that is just something that we love to see. Also just, having 3-year-olds with 5-year-olds, 5-year-olds really become the role models to our younger students. And that's something that you just don't always have in a classroom with all of the children being the same age. So we're really lucky here.
Thanks, Ms. Scheck. And Haley, maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit, as this is Millie's second year in the Barat Center. Sort of what has changed, what her experience was like this year versus last year. Any sort of parent perspective you want to share?
For sure. I think Maddie nailed it last year when I would drop off at the playground. There was a long goodbye, and this year I'm lucky if I get a goodbye. Millie, yes, Dina, just like that. Millie has made really great friends at the Barat Center, and I think that last year the older students took her under their wings, and this year I've seen her do the same with new students and to help them get acclimated into the classroom. And that's been exciting as a parent to watch that development in her.
Awesome. And what about academically? Can anybody here share just a little bit of what that looks like academically as they move throughout the different bands?
Sure. In language arts and math are taught in the 3 developmental bands. So, and there's many hands-on activities that we do all day. In language arts, we learn about phonological awareness. We talk about letters and sounds. We talk about rhyming and syllables, which are all important pre-reading skills. And in math, the same thing. We have the 3 bands, and some of the areas that we cover in math are one-to-one correspondence, patterning, and sorting. And again, all of these are done throughout the entire day, during circle time, during center time, and also through direct instruction time with the teachers.
Great. Yeah. And I think, everybody who's looking for an early childhood program for their little one, we're thinking ahead to kindergarten, and what do we need to do to prepare our children to be ready for kindergarten? And we're lucky enough to have Ms. Taco here, who can talk about, how our Barat Center students transition to our kindergarten program. What skills do they come having nailed? How are they ready for kindergarten?
Well, I have to say, all children are different, and we know and appreciate that. But I can say that over the years, a very common thread among children coming from Barat Center into the kindergarten program is self-assuredness. And I see that and feel that in them. And some, to where does that come from? And certainly some of that comes from home, but I have to believe that a lot of it must come from the fact that they're here and part of the Sacred Heart community, and they know about the school, and they know many of the teachers, the specialist teachers are comfortable with them. But beyond that, the programs at Barat Center provide them with so many opportunities to discover and express their discoveries through learning and exploration, not only with letters and sounds, but really thinking in terms of science and technology and arts. And so I see the children feeling really comfortable with what they can create and being really imaginative and able to express that throughout the day. So I really do see that the children coming in from Barat Center have a certain level of confidence that really serves them well. And I can also say in terms of academics that the practice that Ms. Mansfield was mentioning about all of the phonological awareness and the numeracy and all of that is also very evident. And so I like to see those children coming up.
Thank you, Ms. Taco. And Dina, Lola just started kindergarten. I guess now it's about a month and a half. As a mom, how do you feel her transition from Barat to kindergarten went?
Oh my God, so smoothly, right? Because it is one big home to her. It's my school. Yeah. And there's like a lot of integration in Barat Center where they're meeting with their prayer buddies. So the older girls from the lower school, and they keep those connections. Last year we went to go see Frozen, and one of her older friends brought her to see Olaf, and like they totally left me in the dust, like Haley was saying. And it was just her school She's comfortable. Ms. Taco's talking about the confidence. That confidence, as Maddie knows, was not there when she first came. That confidence was built through numerous positive experiences and just building her up through holistic learning, play-based learning, having that multi-age environment. I have seen such a positive change in Lola. Even her speech is clearer. She doesn't hide anymore. She is a confident young woman who takes ownership that Sacred Heart is her school.
Love that.
Yeah.
And Ms. Taco, so many families who are here today are just a year away from kindergarten. Are there any highlights about our kindergarten program you want to share?
Oh, I have many.
There's probably a million.
There are many highlights I could share. Certainly, we spend a lot of time with word study and learning about letters, not only what they are, but how to apply them. And again, working with the pre-reading strategies. And the girls absolutely love applying the knowledge that they've gained in their years at Barat Center. And through reading and writing workshop, we're doing all of this as well. I have to say, I might surprise you by saying that quiet time is one of the highlights of kindergarten. The children are invited not only to have some rest and relaxation during quiet time, but it's also a period where we do much of our one-to-one work. So the children will be all quietly engaged with an activity on their mat, not necessarily sleeping, but they know that they're going to fall into the rotation where they get to work with one of the teachers one-to-one. And it's such a special time. And the girls come to me, it's quiet, it's intimate, and we're really just, even with masks on, tete-a-tete, working together. And they ask me, when is my day? I hope it's coming soon. And so that really is one of my favorite times in kindergarten.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Taco. And now I just want to shift a little bit to community and what does it mean to be part of this Sacred Heart community and Barat Center within this Sacred Heart community. Haley and Dina, as families with daughters, part of the Sacred Heart community, how did that impact your decision to send your girls to Barat Center, and what have you loved about being part of the Sacred Heart family?
I'll talk. When I first went to Sacred Heart I went to see a show. I went to see whatever was before Phantom of the Opera, Annie.
Okay.
I saw every shape, size, ethnicity girl up there enjoying their talents and being part of this family. And I thought, this is where I want my daughter. There's acceptance. There is, the character education you get through it being a Catholic school. There's the opportunity when I went to Ash Wednesday Mass to see the girls running a Mass, whether it be through the music or the Eucharist, Eucharistic ministers or the lectors. Those moments are so important when it comes to building their character and building their confidence. I mean, it was a no-brainer. This community is tight. And again, those relationships that they make through their assigned prayer buddies in Barat, they keep those relationships. We went to the Javits Center to a dog show, and I hear, Lola! And I'm like, who are they? They were like fourth graders. Like, oh, they're my friends. Like, like, oh. So it's a very small familial school on a very gorgeous big campus.
Yeah. Great. Well, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time. I think it's important as, we go through this process virtually with our prospective families that they have the opportunity to hear from all of you and engage in sort of what life is like. So I appreciate it. I thank you for your input and insights and knowledge. And, I know the families who are here today might want to connect with you at some point along the way. And I know all of you would be happy to do that. So thank you and have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Well, I hope for all of you families out there that that was helpful. You know, some themes that come across to me watching that and as a parent are that the community, the love of each individual child really fosters that independence, that confidence. And what a better foundation, what a gift to have that foundation at such a young age. I can tell you from my personal experience going through the Barat Center, what a special place it is, how, you know, the discovery, it ignites their little imaginations, the family-like environment, it fosters their friendships. And to be part of this bigger Sacred Heart community has just such wonderful benefits, not only for our children, but also for all of you and our families. So now I just want to get to the chat. I know we have a couple questions that have come up. I want to make sure your questions are answered, as it's very important that you have all the information you need to know about the Barat Center and Sacred Heart. So one of them was about age and how old you need to be, and is it too young? When is it too young to come? And what does that look like in a multi-age classroom? And Dr. McGibbon, feel free to jump in at any time, but you have to be 3 by December 31st to enter the Barat Center. You have to be 5 by August 1 to move on to kindergarten. So if you have a little one, as long as they're 3 by December 31, they'll probably fall into that younger band. We also offer that 5 half day or 3 half day. If you feel like the transition, we need to start a little slower, a more of a gentle start, we're happy to start in that 5 half day. Or 3 half day and make adjustments as the year goes on. You know, oftentimes we see parents coming to the teachers and saying, is she ready to move to the full day? And the teachers who know our students so well can advise you on that, and you can talk it through in partnership with our teachers and our parents. But as long as you're 3 by December 31, you are more than ready to enter the Barat Center. And that's also what we'll assess as we go through this process, as we get to know your family, as we get to know your child, to make sure that this is the right spot for them. They're ready for our program, the structure of our program, and we will determine that through the process. The only thing for our Barat Center students, they must be potty trained in order to start at Sacred Heart. There was one other question just about the developmental bands and how you're placed into the bands. As Dr. McGibbon said, it's really about the observation from the teachers. I'd also like to say that it's very fluid throughout the year. So you could be in one band to start the year, and it's a constant observation, teachers getting to know the students, and they could shift up throughout the year. They could be with one group developmental band when they're learning language arts and something different from math. So again, it's really the purpose of our program, and the real benefit of that multi-age classroom is that we're going to meet every student where they're at, which is wonderful. A question about parent engagement, even in our COVID-19 world. I can tell you that this has not been lost on us at Sacred Heart. From the second this started last spring, it has been a priority of our Parents Association, of our faculty and staff, administration, to make sure the community stays tight and intact and we all feel connected, even if it looks a little different than it did in the past. I'll say for Barat Center, just a couple of concrete examples that have happened this year. We did do an actual in-person Barat Center coffee for parents, social distanced outside at the beginning of the year. But it was wonderful. You know, Dr. McGibbon was able to come. I think the parents felt so connected right away. And although we hadn't seen each other in person at that point, it was a really nice way to get to know the other parents of the students in the classroom. We're also putting together a Halloween trunk or treat, which is happening this Friday. Everyone is beyond excited. I think, you know, as a school and the Parents Association, they want to make sure there's still fun in Halloween as things change in at people's neighborhoods. So class parents and Parents Association volunteers are going to create a spot outside where the lower school students, Barat Center through 4th grade, can parade through. But also it's about partnership between teachers, parents, Dr. McGibbon, the community. You know, we had parent-teacher conferences very early in the year so that we as parents had a chance to connect with teachers, hear about our transition, hear about our children's transition, and hear about life in the classroom. So I don't know, Dr. McGibbon, do you have anything else to add in regards to the parent involvement?
Well, first I will,
COVID world.
yeah, well, I'll say that the Barat Center coffee was a delight. It was so much fun. We were all so starved for these in-person connections, and it was really so much fun. It was, to your point, it was outside. We were physically distanced. It was really wonderful. And I'm hoping that we can do more of that type of thing. I've also seen, in terms of just to kind of finesse a little bit the issue of the 3 to 5 classroom. So in the video, one of the comments was that it looked like they were all within the same age group. And I'll say that those were for the developmental bands, where you'll see that there'll be more 3-year-olds with 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds with 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. But for all of the special groups, so let's say the mustard seeds, which I go with, which is a sort of the outdoor exploration group, then all of the children are together, right? So all of the mixed ages, and that's true for all of the specials. So the world languages and art and music, they're all mixed together. So it's only within, and I think the video pretty much focused on the developmental band studies, that you'll see that they're more broken down by age. So I just wanted to mention that briefly.
Yeah, and I think in regards to the age differences, there will be children, even in that video, they do all look the same age, but there are 3-year-olds who have just turned 3, and there are boys or girls that are 5 that will move on to kindergarten next year. So I think maybe if we were here in person, you'd be able to tell the difference a little clearer than through the video. But like Dr. McGibbon said, when they break up into developmental bands, that's when they're grouped. It's not by their chronological age, but by where they're at developmentally, but often that there's some correlation to their chronological age there. And when they go to their specials and they're on the playground and doing more all Barat Center community activities, they're together as a group. In regards to how many teachers are in the classroom, there are 4 teachers in the classroom, and then they have their specials teachers, as Dr. McGibbon mentioned. So in the afternoon is when the specialists come into the classroom this year. In a pre-COVID world, the Barat Center students would travel to the big building to go to the art room, to go to the music room, to go to the dance studio. This year, we're keeping them safe in their cohort in Barat Center. And so now our specialists will travel to the Barat Center. They do have world language in the Barat Center. It's basically, the year is broken up into 3 parts. So they'll have French, Spanish, and Chinese. So they'll do a third of the year French, a third of the year Spanish, a third of the year Chinese. If you have a daughter and they're moving on to kindergarten, that's when they would choose one of those languages and take that language throughout their time in lower school. Let me just check if there are any more questions. Someone asked, where do boys go when they leave the Barat Center? And we, of course, will help families as they sort of transition out of the Barat Center. We've sent sons to other independent schools like a Brunswick, a Greenwich Country Day, a Hackley. Some go to public schools in their towns. It's just a family preference, but we're happy to help from an admission perspective. And also the teachers, knowing your child, they're happy to conference to determine how to pick a school, how can we help, what advice can we give? We are here to support the parents of sons as they go through that process. So I think I answered everything. Let me just do one last scan. I think I got it. However, as questions come up, we are here, and that's the most important thing I can stress as you go through this process. We want to get to know your family, but it's also just as important for your family to get to know Sacred Heart and the Barat Center and our community that makes this place such a wonderful learning environment for our students. So we have a bunch of different virtual events coming up for you to continue to connect. Dr. McGibbon next week is going to be a special guest appearance in one of our admission noontime knowledge series. So that will be a chance for you to talk to her live, hear her take on life in the Barat Center and lower school, and ask your questions. And then also next week on Tuesday, we're going to have some student roundtables. And the one that would, I think, be wonderful for you all to log into is our Lifer student panel. For those of you who have girls that are thinking about this long-term decision, this will be an opportunity for you to hear from some of our upper school students who have been at Sacred Heart since the Barat Center or kindergarten. You know, their memories of lower school, how it's impacted their life, and sort of where they are today. They always have wonderful stories and insight about their Sacred Heart experiences, and they're excited to share those with you. But again, in addition, I just encourage you to use my admission office team. We are here to support you through the process. You know, it's this, in this virtual world, it's against our grain, as Mrs. Fraser has said, to not be opening our doors and hugging everyone as they come in. But we're going to make it work. We're going to be creative, and we just want to stress that we are available for your questions, to connect you with people. So I really encourage you to reach out in any way. And we look forward to getting to know all of you, your children and your families through this admission process. And I just want to thank you all for taking the time to come today and learn about the Barat Center at Sacred Heart Greenwich. And that wraps up our program. So thank you and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.